My hope is that we elevate this family in love.
It has been nearly a week since a fatal shooting and house fire in a North Ogden neighborhood. How the community is coming together to grieve.
The Fox 13 Investigates team discovers there's an investigation into child abuse at daycare centers on Hill Air Force Base. We'll tell you what parents have been told.
Rounds of showers and thunderstorms as a storm moves in. How the cool temperatures will impact our flooding concerns.
Social media restrictions are coming to Utah. But what would regulations actually look like, and how could it impact you? Tonight, the state is asking what you think.
Chilling testimony in court today. What one witness says happened when she tried to end her friendship with Lori Vallow Daybell.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Nearly a week now after a deadly shooting and house fire, a North Ogden neighborhood is still trying to process everything. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Kelly Chapman.
And I'm Bob Evans. As Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold shows us tonight, a few neighbors are organizing a prayer and candlelight vigil this weekend to help the community grieve.
All are processing this event very differently, and all are shaken to the core.
Heidi Bradley lives right around the corner from this home in North Ogden. It's where the Weber County Attorney's Office says officers found Scott Roberts dead, his wife Jody shot and injured after their home was set on fire last Thursday night. According to a family member's GoFundMe page, the suspect, Scott's brother, was killed after going outside and firing at police.
I hear a lot of gunfire. And immediately my thought goes to, is my daughter okay? Because I knew she was at the neighbor's house, just about 3 homes away. I call my neighbor, where are the kids? She said the kids are inside.
Bradley tells Fox 13 News she had only seen the Roberts in passing. The same can be said for North Ogden City Councilman Blake Severing, who lives 6 houses down from where all this took place.
I've lived in North Ogden for 57 years. I don't remember an actual domestic violence case that was taken to this level. So it was kind of a shock, really.
That doesn't stop them from stepping up to try and help the community through the grieving process. Bradley and Severing both coming together to put on a prayer and candlelight vigil this weekend.
We are having faith leaders of multiple different places, including the Native American Goshute tribe, will be joining us to help our community heal. And then we are also having food donations from many places.
I believe that's kind of a mentality for North Ogden citizens anyway, to support each other.
Supporting one another and hopefully helping lift up the Roberts family during a tragic time.
We want to bless Jody Roberts and her family as much as we possibly can.
Scott Roberts died a hero. This is what is public on the GoFundMe page. And my hope is that we elevate this family in love.
That vigil is set to take place here at Mountain View Park at 6 o'clock Saturday night. Bradley says that the North Ogden Mayor and North Ogden Police Chief, as well as a representative for the Roberts family, are all set to speak. In North Ogden, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Fox 13 News has learned of a major child abuse investigation at 2 daycare facilities at Hill Air Force Base.
Fox 13 News investigative reporter Nate Carlisle explains what parents have been told.
And lack of childcare impacts members across the service, and not just those with children.
Childcare is a point of pride in the Air Force, considered a component of military readiness.
As spouses.
Here's how an Air Force colonel described it at a women's symposium in March.
And so childcare responsibilities are an important driving factor in whether or not a service member, and especially women, continue in service or even apply for positions that lead to greater promotion opportunities.
But on the same day Hill Air Force Base hosted that virtual symposium, Fox 13 News has learned federal agents were investigating abuse at the base's daycare centers. Parents attended a briefing yesterday with the base commander and criminal investigators. Information has since been relayed to us. Here's the bullet points. 37 children may have been abused. 12 providers are suspected either of abusing children or failing to report the abuse. Investigators are looking at 70 days of camera footage going back to December. Criminal charges could be referred to federal prosecutors. The abuse has been described as at least one staff member hitting preschool-aged children. One parent in last night's meeting complained he had been told their child was hit in the head, but that parent wasn't told whether to monitor for symptoms of a brain injury. Another parent said he watched a video of her child. She saw the child's head ricochet off a cot when she was harshly put down for a nap. Parents last night complained about a lack of candor from the Air Force. They pointed to this Friday letter Base Commander Colonel Jeffrey G. Holland sent parents. The letter reads, "Over the last few months, we've identified instances where our performance may not have met our expectations. In these instances, we immediately removed the involved caregiver from the classroom and notified the parents of affected children." The letter did not use the word abuse, nor explain the scope of the investigation. The daycares are called Child Development Centers East and West, and they are on the base. They serve children up to the age of 5 from military families. Meanwhile, we've also learned some Hill families are seeking child care in the civilian sector, either because there's not enough staff at the child development centers now, or because parents don't feel comfortable sending their children there. We'll continue following this investigation at Hill Air Force Base. For now, in the newsroom, Nate Carlisle, Fox 13 News, Utah.
In a statement from Hill Air Force Base Public Affairs, authorities say this is an open and ongoing investigation at this time. Command is fully aware of these serious allegations. When we became aware of these allegations, we immediately removed the involved caregivers from the classroom and notified the parents of affected children. Properly caring for our airmen and their families is of utmost importance to all of us here at Team Hill.
Well, the latest figures say violent crime in Salt Lake City is down 16.4%. The new crime reduction plan stats show business robberies are down 33.3%, aggravated assaults are down 19.4%, and crimes involving guns are down 71.4%. Murder and individual robberies saw no change. Overall average monthly violent crime was down 10.7%. Both city and police department leaders say they targeted crime by deploying resources in areas that statistically show higher crime rates.
Here in Salt Lake City, we have taken aggressive steps to reduce violent crime since the pandemic. Today, overall crime in Salt Lake City is as low as it's been in 7 years.
That means that the solution also cannot be singular. That's why our violent crime control plan is as expansive and is focused on the long term.
Well, the city and police will now move into their midterm strategy plan, which will go into a deep, multifaceted analysis to understand the underlying causes of violent crime in certain hotspots.
It has been 2 days since this woman right here, 28-year-old Libby Stimpson, went missing. Loved ones believe she fell into the Weber River. Today, the community rallied around Libby's family. They took turns watching the rushing water from the bridge on Adams Avenue Parkway and along the river. Family friend Jane Harvey says the first thing she thought of was, what if her own son, who grew up with Libby, had gone missing?
The best way to show them that you care and love them is to go help and be there for them.
Libby's father, Jack Lessiter, is hoping and praying they find his daughter soon.
Right now, there's so much water in the melting snowpack. Watershed managers in Weber County have had to let it build up in the reservoirs rather than releasing it downstream. The Weber Basin Conservancy District says only 1/3 of the water in the Weber River is released from reservoirs. Now, the other 2/3 is all the melted snowpack from the mountains. At the Slaterville Diversion Dam, 700 million gallons a day go to Willard Bay. Another 2.5 billion gallons makes its way to the Great Salt Lake. Watershed managers and engineers are consistently monitoring the forecast day by day, hour by hour, to open and close gates to prevent overflow.
We are just starting the snowmelt process. There's probably still a good 80% of the snowpack that needs to still melt, that's still up there. And so we're going to see these high flows for at least another month, maybe another month and a half.
And despite all the water coming down from the mountains, engineers are still stressing conservation. Now, the recent sunshine and 70-degree temperatures make it very tempting to perhaps start up your sprinklers, but don't do it.
No.
No, Bob says no. The state's
Don't do it.
weekly lawn watering guide says only 7 counties should have 1 watering a week, and that's only in southern Utah. You can check the map yourself at conservewater.utah.gov.
Now, on my way to work today, coming through our neighborhood, one of our neighbors had their sprinklers on already, and I'm thinking, hello?
Maybe they were just testing them.
Well, no,
Benefit of
I
the
don't think
doubt.
they were. I think they were just on. And I thought, you really don't need
Just out
it.
them. Go ahead.
Give us their name and address.
Yes,
No.
as a matter of fact.
No, I get it. We've all worked really hard, and then this season, this winter, really helped us out when it comes to water levels, Allison.
But I'll tell you what, the lawns around the neighborhoods, even the ones that aren't getting watered, are still looking really good. I like saving money, so I'll hold off as long as I can. Today, though, it was another day in the 80s, so we're certainly starting to think more about those summer projects that we have to do around the yard. We still have some flooding concerns, although our concerns will start to really start to go down over the next couple of days as our temperatures cool down. But we do have some more storms in the forecast, and that could lead to some new concerns or some other concerns. Temperatures pretty mild right now across southern Utah. We're looking at about 50 degrees in Milford and Cedar City, 44 for Bryce Canyon, but 60s and 70s for much of northern Utah. 67 in Provo, 72 for Ogden, 56 in Wendover. We did have a severe thunderstorm warnings earlier this evening around 6:30, 7:30 for western Tooele County. For some wind gusts that got up to about 60 to 65 miles per hour out at the proving grounds. So across the board right now, we've lost our daytime heating. We still have a few showers going. We're expecting a round of showers and thunderstorms potentially late tonight, early tomorrow morning, and again tomorrow afternoon. More on that coming up.
Some things will change in Utah's classrooms. We'll show you the education bills Governor Cox signed today.
The gap between black homeowners and other groups continues to widen, especially here in Utah. I tell you what's causing the disparity.
And you have a chance to weigh in on how social media will be regulated, including age verification for Utahns. We'll explain.
Great news for the BYU football team. A star wide receiver is returning from the transfer portal. I'll tell you about that coming up in sports.
After much controversy, the Salt Lake City School District is set to appoint a new superintendent.
Back in October, former Granite School District Superintendent Dr. Martin Bates came out of retirement to lead the district. Outgoing Salt Lake Superintendent Dr. Timothy Gadsden resigned after being placed on administrative leave. Gadsden will serve as a consultant until next June. The announcement will be made in the board meeting tomorrow at 5 p.m.
There was a pro-choice rally tonight at the Salt Lake City and County Building. Planned Parenthood Action Council of Utah and the ACLU of Utah organized it. It came after a judge blocked a new state law that would have gone into effect today. It would only allow abortions at hospitals or hospital clinics. One of the speakers tonight was an OBGYN from Idaho, where abortions are now banned.
Our patients have had to travel to Utah, Oregon, Washington, and other states for abortion care in these situations at great financial, emotional, and physical expense. If this new Utah law had gone into effect, the abortion desert for Idaho women would have widened further.
The Utah Attorney General's office plans to appeal the ruling blocking the new abortion law to the Utah Supreme Court.
Several new laws went into effect today, from tax cuts to traffic laws. But Governor Cox and Lieutenant Governor Henderson held a ceremonial bill signing today to call attention to some of the big bills on education. One includes $700 million in new money.
We tried to appropriate it in a way that allowed a lot of flexibility for districts and schools to decide what would best help students.
Our primary goal is to make sure that education funding in Utah is always protected, prioritized, and adequate for our public schools.
Now, one aspect that still needs to be worked out is a proposed state constitutional amendment that removes the earmark on public education on the income tax. That's in exchange for other funding promises by the legislature. There were also bills to enhance school safety, also increase the number of school counselors, and a big bill to expand all-day kindergarten statewide.
Utahns are searching for VPNs after the popular adult site Pornhub blocked users in the state of Utah. VPN is short for Virtual Private Network and allows users to hide their location. On Monday, the Pornhub site went black in Utah in response to a new state law requiring age verification. The site says it doesn't want minors to view adult content, but the way the Utah legislature wrote the law, it requires ID every time a user logs in. Our content sharing partners at the Salt Lake Tribune report Google search data shows a massive increase in searches for VPNs since Monday. A group representing adult websites is now suing the state of Utah over the new law. New social media laws would impact how Utah children can consume content online, but there is still work to be done to figure out how these rules will be enforced.
And you can be part of the process. And the first of its kind in the country, these laws require users to verify their age and have parental consent if they are minors. The next step is to figure out how users can verify their age, whether users might have to upload an ID or something else, and how you can establish who is someone's parent. That's why today the Utah Department of Commerce opened their public input form to help formulate these guidelines.
Age verification rule that we make, it has to allow at least an option that does not require a government ID. So there will probably be, there might be multiple options. We just don't know yet, but we know that we have to comply with that part of the law. Well, we do hope that the public will be on board, and we know already so many parents, myself included. I have 5 kids myself, 3 of them are teenagers right now, and so I'm very interested as a parent in this bill and making sure that we implement it in the right way and making sure.
You can go to socialmedia.utah.gov to give specific input on how the regulations should be implemented. Now, the form does not have a specific closing date yet. However, the rules have to be submitted by October 30th of this year. Then there will be another public comment period before the rules are in effect next March.
Our high temperature was 81 degrees today. That was our 5th day in a row with temperatures in the 80s. So that's why the flooding and snowmelt has been a concern, with above average temps since Thursday. So 67 is a normal high this time of year. Tomorrow and this weekend, we're going to be closer to normal. We look at temps right now here across the state. We're still warm. 72 in Salt Lake, 72 for Ogden, 67 for Provo right now, but we're into the 40s for Cedar and Bryce Canyon. And St. George has been cooler than Salt Lake today, and tomorrow we'll continue with that trend. So for the Wasatch Front, morning commute, cloudy, 57 degrees. Chance for a few isolated scattered showers and thunderstorms during the morning and evening drives. Tomorrow's a round of showers, likely moves in late tonight into early tomorrow morning. We're seeing some rain showers mainly through Tooele County. Wind was the primary concern, with some thunderstorms that developed around dinner time tonight in western Tooele County out towards the Dugway Proving Grounds. We had some wind gusts up to 60-65 miles per hour. Through central Utah, a few areas of showers through the central part of the state. Eastern Utah, just south of the Uinta Basin right now, we've got a few rain showers going. Still a little bit of lightning in northern Washington County, just north of St. George. And as we look at our next big impact, it's the California low pressure system moving on in, and we're going to continue with some rounds of showers and thunderstorms through the next couple of days. So during our overnight hours for Salt Lake, Provo, and Ogden, we're looking at some isolated showers through about 9 a.m. Then things are going to become more widely scattered for Salt Lake, Provo, and Ogden. Let's go ahead and look at a high resolution future cast. 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, chance for a few showers to roll through from south to north during the morning drive. By lunchtime tomorrow, we could get a few more of those showers and thunderstorms going, moving north again towards the southeast to northwest. And as we look at tomorrow evening, we also have some more chances for showers, just really on and off as a possibility. Into tomorrow, we could again see some thunderstorms with some gusty wind, some small hail, and some lightning. And what we're looking at tomorrow with our best chance for those areas pretty much follows I-70 and I-15. So west of I-15 in southern Utah, and then north of I-70 for all of central and northern Utah. Temperatures Thursday at 7 a.m. We're looking at about 45 to 55 here for much of the state. For the Wasatch Front tomorrow, we'll have our temperatures close to 60 to 70 degrees throughout the afternoon. Scattered showers and thunderstorms and cooler than today. And for St. George, you're going to be close to 60 degrees through much of the day. So much cooler than your temps that you had a few days ago. St. George, 67 tomorrow, scattered thunderstorms by Friday, partly cloudy, 68. 70s this weekend, 80s into next week. And for Salt Lake City, 71 tomorrow, scattered rain and thunderstorms by Friday, partly cloudy, 66. 60s this weekend and into next week. So we are back closer to average through much of our 7-day forecast. We'll take a look at the 2-week temperature trend coming up in just a little bit. We'll be right back.
In national news, Atlanta police have captured the suspect who opened fire inside a medical facility waiting room today.
5 women were shot. One of them died. Police say 24-year-old Dion Patterson stole a car and then fled the scene after the shooting. Patterson's mother told the Associated Press over the phone that her son, a former Coast Guardsman, had some mental instability going on from medication he received from the Veterans Affairs health system that he began taking on Friday.
For the 10th time in a row, and as expected, the Federal Reserve raised interest rates again today. The quarter-point increase is meant to fight inflation, and the Fed says more hikes could be coming. This affects things like credit card and mortgage rates.
Rising housing costs have hit many of us, but purchasing a home is particularly difficult for one group. I'll explain why.
A former friend takes the stand today in the murder trial of Lori Vallow Daybell. What she says happened the day she tried to end her friendship with Lori.
One final ride with warm air and a lingering snowpack. How this Utah resort is saying so long to the record season.
Joe Adell keeps hitting home runs. He was the first player in all of baseball to hit 12 homers. But could the Bees pull out the win?
Utah is one of the 5 states with the sharpest home price increases from August 2020 to August 2021. That's according to CoreLogic's Home Price Insights report.
But ongoing research shows that buying a home these days may prove to be more difficult for a particular demographic. Fox 13 News investigative consumer reporter Robin O'Guinye explains.
This is the only thing left underneath the sink I need to pack.
Yolanda Frazier is a veteran teacher, mom, and self-proclaimed outdoors woman. She's moved around the country and eventually made her way back to Utah when rent was more affordable.
When I lived here prior, I was working for Davis School District, and I lived in Salt Lake, and I lived in Summerwood, and I paid $550 a month for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
That was more than a decade ago, and for the last 2 years, costs have gone way up, and she's now contemplating another move.
I am now paying $24.80 a month. I spend every dime. I try to be really frugal. I have to make out my monthly food that I'm going to eat. I really have to budget my money because it actually takes one of my 2-week checks to pay rent.
Like many, Yolanda's income isn't keeping pace with rising rents. What's more, she wants to eventually own a home again. Years ago, she owned a home in Layton. The school district she worked for at the time notified teachers their insurance premiums were going up. The single mom couldn't afford new premiums and a house note, so she sold her home.
I just wanted to be able to take care of my family and be, have the American dream and own a home.
According to research by the National Association of Realtors, while housing affordability hit historic lows last year, minority groups are at a disadvantage when it comes to buying a home. In 2019, the net worth for a white family in the U.S., just over $188,000. The net worth of a black family, around $24,000.
They have substantial lower income than what they need to have in order to afford to purchase a home.
Nadia Evangelou is a research director with the National Association of Realtors. She says while black home ownership rates increased in the last decade, it only increased by 0.4%, while white home ownership rates increased 3%, the Hispanic home ownership rate rose by 4%, and Asian home ownership rose 5%. And the snapshot for black home ownership in Utah is bleak compared to other states.
So what we see for Black homeownership rate is low compared to the national level. So we have 44% at the national level. However, what we see in Utah is almost 30%. So unfortunately, we see that Black Americans are less likely to own a home in Utah compared to most of the areas across the country.
For renters like Yolanda who want to buy a home, this map from the NAR shows how many Black renters in Utah can actually afford to purchase a home. That's only 5% of Black renters in Utah, making us one of the top 5 states with the lowest number of Black renter households that can buy a house. Data shows that could be because Black renters are more cost burdened. Although they have a 30% lower income compared to, say, white renters, their monthly rent isn't significantly lower than that of white renters. Furthermore, according to the Home Mortgage Disclosure Act, Black and Hispanic home buyers face extra challenges when trying to obtain a mortgage. Black Americans have the highest denial rates for purchase and refinance loans. 20% of Black and 15% of Hispanic loan applicants are denied mortgages, compared with about 11% of white and 10% of Asian applicants.
When we see Blacks here in the state of Utah, they can't afford to buy a home. Although they would want to, because, look at the taxes that they're paying when they're really helping somebody else because they're paying rent.
Janetta Williams, president of the NAACP Salt Lake branch, says from her perspective, Black renters do not always know what questions to ask when looking to make their first home purchase.
They haven't done enough research to even know the right questions, the right amount that they're looking for, to make sure that, I'm looking for a home, this is the price range that I'm looking at, and not have the realtor show them what they think that they should be buying, because the person that's looking for the home, they know what they can afford. And so they need to just make sure that they know the right questions. Don't just go out there asking questions without giving some thought to it.
That includes looking for financing ahead of time. Until renters like Yolanda are able to make that jump, finding affordable housing for the time being is the goal, hoping it won't take a career change to make her a homeowner again.
I think this is the first year I've thought about, should I take my talents and do something else? Do I want to leave the classroom? It's not worth that nighttime not sleeping of, I have to pay the power bill or I have to pay the gas bill.
A first-time home buyer assistance program passed in the Utah legislature this year. It allocates $50 million to help eligible applicants receive a $20,000 loan to pay for a home's closing costs, payments to buy down interest rates, or to apply for a down payment on a home. It applies to newly constructed houses, townhomes, or condos that do not exceed $450,000. Funds will be available through the Utah Housing Corporation July 1st. Robin O'Guinye, Fox 13 News, Utah.
If you have a story you'd like the Fox 13 News investigative team to look into, send an email to iteam@fox13now.com or call the tip line at 801-536-1314.
A former friend of Lori Vallow Daybell took the witness stand today. How she says Lori threatened her. Coming up.
And coming up today, another day in the 80s, but temperatures are going to be cooling down over the next few days. How that could impact flooding and what areas are still a concern.
In the Lori Vallow Daybell murder trial in Idaho, a former friend of Chad and Lori surprised the defense today when she said Lori threatened her with physical violence.
Court TV correspondent Chanley Painter has more from Boise.
That's right. Huge testimony coming out of this courthouse today as a former friend of Lori Vallow Daybell tells the jury that Lori threatened to kill her. Audrey Baratario was a follower of Chad Daybell and Lori for about a year, but in late 2018, when Audrey wanted to end her friendship with Lori, she said Lori laughed at her, berated her, and then threatened to kill her. Audrey said that Lori told her she would cut her up and something about her not being in the mental place to do that. She said something about trash bags, and then she would bury me where no one would find me. Lori inside the courtroom just laughed at defense counsel table when her attorney asked questions. He asked Audrey, do you remember your testimony during the grand jury hearing where you didn't say anything like this? Audrey answered, I was scared. Lori had said she'd chop me up and said, I'll come find you in the dark of night. The prosecution also called Lori's nephew-in-law, Ian Pulowski, who started testifying, of course, about marrying Lori's niece, Melanie, and how he soon had fears of Lori and Chad's religious beliefs. So much so that he actually went to the police and started recording their conversations. Well, coming up tomorrow, the judge will decide whether or not the jury can hear some of those recordings. Reporting here in Boise, Chanley Painter, Court TV.
Coming up, what's being done to better support Utah's arts and culture industries?
And an abundant snow year and unmelted mountain powder. We're going to show you how a Cache Valley resort reopened for a last hurrah tonight.
Well, 3 days after entering the transfer portal, Cody Epps is back at BYU. We'll hear why he changed his mind coming up in sports. And the Bees played a matinee today with Joe Adell swinging for the fences. Could they pull out the win? The highlights are on the way.
Right now, a silver alert has been issued for 81-year-old Ralph Porter. He was last seen today around 1:30 p.m. in Utah County near Spanish Fork. He is 6'1". He's got gray hair and blue eyes. He's wearing a golden shirt. The Department of Public Safety says he is a disabled man with a history of strokes. His destination is not known, but a vehicle to keep an eye out for would be a 2014 Gold Chrysler Town & Country.
The warmer weather may have you itching to get out on your motorcycle, but you may want to brush up on your skills first. Public safety data shows motorcycle crashes are 13% more likely to be fatal compared to car crashes. 41 people died in motorcycle crashes in 2021. As fun as riding can be, UHP troopers say it's important not to be reckless.
We want motorcyclists to make better decisions when they get on the motorcycle. Don't drive a motorcycle while you're impaired. Don't do 125 miles an hour. When I first started riding motorcycles in about 2002, 2003, my trainer for the Highway Patrol, his name was Mike Cadell, and he gave me one good piece of advice, and he said, the moment you disrespect that motorcycle, it will kill you.
There have been 5 motorcycle-related deaths so far this year in Utah. For information on safety courses, go to ridetolive.utah.gov.
Bob, after a long day, the road in Little Cottonwood Canyon has reopened. Crews monitored the water on the road after clearing the mud and debris left by yesterday's mudslide near the Seven Turns area. The slide was 100 feet wide and about 4 feet deep. UDOT is concerned there could be more.
It's a relatively warm day, and so there's that potential that we could see additional activity, whether it's in the form of rocks coming loose and falling, or the possibility of wet avalanches that we've seen when the sun heats the snowpack up there, or as we saw yesterday, mudslides.
UDOT will still have spotters in place for the next 5 days from noon to 6 p.m.
The state of Utah is winding up a listening tour to get input on better supporting Utah's arts and culture industries. The National Endowment for the Arts says Utah is #1 in the nation in the creation of art and #3 for cultural participation. The Division of Arts and Museums is a state government service organization that offers professional development, grants, and advice to artists, museums, teachers, and arts organizations. Every 5 years, they assess the cultural needs in the state by listening to anyone and everyone concerned about the arts. They then develop a strategic plan to enhance Utah's culture. Who comes to these listening sessions?
We've had a variety of people attend. We've had artists, arts administrators, we've had musicians, we've had public officials, leaders from government, just general citizens who are interested. Last night I met an interesting gentleman who works for an architectural firm in town, and he wanted to be better informed about Utah's cultural community so that they could be of better service to their clients.
More than 125,000 Utahns are employed in creative industries, which contribute more than $10 billion a year to Utah's economy. The plan being developed now will come out in the fall and be used as a guide in keeping Utah's cultural sector vibrant. The last listening event will be tomorrow night in person at 6 p.m. in Vernon. It'll be held at the Uinta County Library. All are welcome.
Okay, you don't necessarily think of skiing in May, especially at Cherry Peak Resort in Cache County, but we all know this season has been unusual. So today, Cherry Peak opened back up one last time for May Madness sunset skiing. I talked with Dustin Hanson at the Peak this evening to see how the event turnout was, and he showed me people were loving the spring corn, as they say on the mountain, taking advantage of one final ride.
It's May Day, it's May Madness, it's May Appreciation. We got people in their swimsuit attire, everything. This is so exciting. We're skiing at our local resort in May.
Yeah, making history there. Dustin says the resort has never had snow like this in May before, and they've never reopened this late in the season. But get this, I love it. After tonight, Dustin there said, the snow, it can all melt away because Cherry Peak needs to start preparing for their summer concert series, which runs June through September. Something else to look forward to.
It's so hard to start thinking about those summer activities because we have been just through a very tough winter, but we got a taste of the last few days. Today was our 5th day in a row in the 80s here in Salt Lake. It's currently 72 degrees in Salt Lake, 72 for Ogden, 67 for Provo. So it's still feeling really decent right now here in Salt Lake. For the rest of tonight, mostly cloudy. We do have the chance for some rain showers. Tomorrow morning, cloudy, mild in the 50s. We've got the chance for a few areas of isolated showers early in the day. And then tomorrow afternoon, scattered rain and thunderstorms. So we're going to be cooler heading into the weekend. We'll have a couple of rounds of showers on and off through the next couple of days, and in fact, through much of our 7-day forecast. So cooler weather is on the way. It's going to be this weekend in the 60s, which is very different than the 80s that we've had the last couple of days. The water still, though, is running fast, cold, and high, so still use caution. But our primary areas that we're still watching, Emigration Creek, the South Fork of the Ogden River near Huntsville, Sevier River near Hatch, Garden City, Cache Valley. There's also a flood advisory for the Green River near Vernal. So what we're watching for you tonight here across the state, got a few areas of rain. Gusty wind has been our primary threat with these storms as they rolled through I-80 earlier this evening around dinner time. We did have a brief severe thunderstorm warning for some wind gusts that got up to about 65 miles per hour out towards the Dugway Proving Grounds. But overall, we're expecting 40s and 50s and cloudy sky tomorrow morning across northern Utah. We'll see a few clear areas into the central part of the state near I-70 and I-15 junction, but we head throughout the day tomorrow and we're going to have more scattered showers and thunderstorms. Some areas of heavy rainfall a possibility with some hail, some gusty wind, and a little bit of lightning in any of those areas where thunderstorms do develop. So 71 tomorrow in Salt Lake, 59 for Park City, Moab 76 tomorrow, St. George 67. Chance of precipitation will be scattered to widely scattered, even widespread for Ogden Friday night into Saturday. And for Provo, your chance of precipitation is going to be mostly widely scattered to scattered Thursday night, and then more isolated in nature. For St. George tomorrow, you've got some scattered thunderstorms, and then you've got a pretty dry 7-day forecast. So tomorrow, 67, 70s this weekend, 80s next week. For Salt Lake, 71 degrees tomorrow, 66 on Friday, 60s this weekend. And as we look at our 2-week temperature trend, the 11th of May through the 17th of May, we are back to slightly above average temperatures here through much of Utah during the middle of May.
Well, just 3 days after entering the transfer portal, BYU wide receiver Cody Epps announced today he's exiting the transfer portal and returning to BYU. Epps is coming off an nice season, 39 receptions for 459 yards and 6 touchdowns before he suffered a season-ending shoulder surgery in October. During his brief time in the transfer portal, it was reported that Epps received offers from teams like Auburn, Miami, and Ole Miss, and interest from Utah. Epps said that there was no point trying to find a new home when what I needed and wanted was already here where I am. Salt Lake Bees played this afternoon at home against Tacoma. Joe Adell hit a home run Number 11 last night at Smith's Ballpark, and here goes number 12 to center field, the first slugger to hit 12 home runs this season in all of baseball, including the majors. 3-0 Bees. They got a great defensive play here from David Fletcher. Dives to his left, throws from his knee, in time for the out. Nice play by the Bees shortstop. Bees are up 1 going into the 8th inning, but then they put the game away. Jordan Adams drives in a run. Then it's Taylor Jones, rips it to left field for a home run. The Bees won it 7-2. The final, it's only their 4th win since April 13th. NBA MVP Joel Embiid returned for play for the 76ers in Game 2 against the Celtics. He scored 15 points after missing the last 2 games, but this game was all Boston. Jaylen Brown throws down 2 of his 25. The Celtics won at 121-87 to even the series at 1 game apiece. After winning his 6th career PGA Tour title last week at the Mexico Open, Tony Finau playing again this week at the Wells Fargo Championship in Charlotte, North Carolina. Finau celebrated his last win in Mexico, dancing with his son. He travels with his wife and kids on tour, so he's with them a lot. Then he caddied for his kids on the par 3 course there where they stayed. He played with them every night. He enjoys spending as much time as possible with them.
I look at myself, I'm kind of a part-time golfer, full-time father, and that's that's kind of my thing. My kids are only young once, and my boys are only young once. I want to make sure that I'm there for them as often as possible, and that's also why I have them travel with me. So it's pretty dang cool that we're able to share that special moment on the golf course, having won the tournament, but then shooting straight over the par 3 and having that time with them was a lot of fun.
Did you win Sunday night too?
Yeah, I cleaned house last week. I beat up on my boy, unfortunately, all week on the par 3, and then was able to take the trophy at the Mexico Open. So it was a good all-around week in golf for me.
Love it. You got to make the kids earn it.
Oh, yeah.
That's sweet. I love that. Part-time golfer, full-time dad.
Isn't that great?
That's a heck of a part-time job.
Yeah, no kidding.
He's got his hands full.
I should have been a golfer.
He tees up early in the morning. Zach Blair, also Utah, playing there as well tomorrow.
Super.
Good luck, guys.
Thanks, Jeff.
We'll be right back. Thanks for watching Fox 13 News at 9.
Stay with us for QuickCast. That's next.